session. Can I have everyone's attention, please? Thank you. Yesterday, before we went on recess, we ended with our afternoon presentation with CEO Esther Muña sharing the developments and what's been happening at our Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. We now continue with the presentations this morning, and as mentioned earlier during our recess, if you look at our schedule, we have Mrs. Jamaica Taiharan and Mr. Derek T. Sasamoto, and we will have Mr. Derek T. Sasamoto from the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority go ahead and present first. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Derek T. Sasamoto, Executive Director, Commonwealth Economic Development Authority.
All right, thank you everybody. Again, as was said earlier, my name is Derek Sasamoto. I'm the Executive Director of the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority. And I was actually supposed to come on a little bit later, but I guess I had to come on earlier, so I was rushing over here. So the blood is flowing, feeling good. Can I have the next slide, please? So just to start off today, we'll go over a quick overview. I'm gonna go over real quick, a quick history of the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, which used to be the Commonwealth Development Authority. I'm going to go over some small legislative insights, look at CEDA's role and look at CEDA's impacts as well. And then of course, just things moving forward, all based around the theme of this being a legislative forum, right? So can I have the next slide, please? Again, so the creation of CEDA. So CEDA, go ahead, next slide. So CEDA was created in 1985 by, of course, public law as the Commonwealth Development Authority. The purpose was to stimulate the economic development in the Northern Mariana Islands. The law established CDA as the development banking arm of the Marianas, giving out infrastructure loans to the government. Oh, I can wing it. And private small business loans to the private sector. And at that point, that was the extent of CDA's Economic Development Authority at the time. Just essentially development finance, right? Development finance loans. We got a blue screen.
We'll take a quick recess, sir, because my screen went down for a
Sorry, I
little
didn't
bit,
memorize
so,
everything.
Yeah, quick recess. morning's presentation with our executive director from CEDA. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We're still having technical difficulties, but if it's okay with the members, we'll have Mr. Sasamoto do his presentation without the slide. They're still trying to figure out the issue with the projector and the connection. So if you're okay, we'll do this old school and just take notes and ask questions. Are we good with that? I mean, I know we're all millennials here, or at least I can say I'm a millennial, right? But yeah, with that, we'll go ahead and give the floor back to Mr. Sasamoto, Director.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, I feel bad because I had so much graphics and videos in my presentation, and now we can't see it. A lot of automation and so, but yeah, so getting back to where I was at, so again, just going over the creation of CEDA. So again, 40 years ago, 1985, through public law, CDA was created, Development Banking Arm of the Marianas. In June 2021, the legislature, of course, after about 40 years or so, of course, right, the relevance of certain public laws of legislation must always be considered, right, especially when it involves conditions that change, such as economics, right? So of course, our legislature, our administration here in the Marianas, of course, facing economic downturn, right? I mean, we all know it. Going back from the very beginning, right, to the 90s, the end of NAFTA, the Asian crisis, we have wars, pandemics, global recessions and more, right? So experiencing the economic downturn, of course, legislation had to be reconsidered. So the CDA law was one of those legislations that our legislature went back and, of course, looked again, because at the same time, not only were we experiencing an economic downturn, but it also seemed like the economic promotion and marketing of the Marianas was definitely decentralized, but it seemed to be very defragmented as well, which seemed to be creating confusion amongst investors, And then on the appearance of it, and I've heard this many times, it seemed like the Marianas was tourism focused, right? And of course, the CNMI legislature at the time, in collaboration with the administration, took action, fortunately for us. So in June 2021, CDA became CEDA. The economic development component was added to CDA to now become CEDA. So through the executive and legislative branch collaboration, CEDA became and is now empowered by law to be the lead in economic development in the Marianas in terms of promotion as well. Verbatim from the law. The purpose of the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority is to be the primary agency tasked with economic development of the Commonwealth and to be empowered to undertake this mandate with the flexibility to become proactive in the pursuit of industries, investments, strengthen the economy, right? So through this law, CEDA's authority extends now beyond just development finance and now into economic and investment promotion for the Marianas. Of course, in addition to that, product promotion, trade missions, assisting with economic plans of the Marianas, right, and more. Now we're done with looking at our role, or briefly looking at our role. Now I'm going to give you some just brief legislative insight because we are at a legislative forum. So, of course, our legislature, fortunately for us, recognized the need for change, right? They recognized the need for change in 2021 when they passed this new CEDA law. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, economic downturn, right? We also had investor feedback. We also had stakeholder feedback. There was many economic councils that have been formed, right? So of course, recognizing the need for change is huge. But then of course, like our legislature did, they took action, take action. Laws passed actually addressing the need for change, the actual need for change. So creating CEDA addressed a major concern by creating a central point of collaboration, not contact, a central point of collaboration for investors with the goal of creating efficiency and reducing confusion and of course the unknowns, which we've always received feedback from potential investors, for example. And of course, the business environment, and this is key, our environment here, every environment, but our business environment in particular, has to be predictable, right? It has to be predictable. If there's no predictability, investors will not invest. And we've heard this from our desired markets. And of course, right, because a law can either support or it can stifle something, right? So of course, whenever we consider legislation, we have to consider whether we are eliminating predictability or not. And this, I believe, requires constant consideration. If you think about investment, emerging versus developed economies, right? certainty in the developed economies, whereas uncertainty in the undeveloped, right? Emerging. Though there are huge rewards in emerging economies if you do it right, but we all know that majority of emerging economies are very uncertain and they're very risky, and we usually avoid them, right? Prudent investors, right? Same thing with other investments. So we need our environment to be predictable. Now we're going to get into what has CEDA's role been since CEDA has been created, right? And again, the purpose of CEDA was to be the primary agency tasked with economic development of the Commonwealth. The Marianas is what I say. So CEDA, of course, continues to its development banking role. We continue our development and banking role, right? Providing these business loans to the private sector, infrastructure loans to the government, but we also support the government through mandates. For example, like we provide microloans, direct loans, but we have supported retirees and local operations. CEDA also administers the State Small Business Credit Initiative 2.0 program. We have a potential of $57 million over 3 tranches over 10 years. And this is for businesses of 750 employees or less. So that's another program that we administer. And of course, economic development and promotion, right? Our new bread and butter. And of course, so what did we do in terms of economic development and promotion? CEDA created a new investment packet as well as a new marketing approach. We essentially tailored our benefits and packaged them in a way that is relevant to the markets and investors that we're targeting. In the past, it feels like, in the past, it seems like the Marianas' benefits were marketed, but perhaps like in piecemeal, and were never really put together very well. But this new investment packet, you can keep going, keep going. Keep going. Back one. Yeah, so in terms of economic development promotion, again, our investment packet approach, we created a new investment packet earlier in 2025. I became the director at the end of February 2025. We created this packet not long after that. So we took the packet and this new marketing approach, and we tested it. We went to Select USA in May 2025, just this year, just 5 months ago. We tested our new marketing approach and packet at Select USA, and it was amazing. We met with investors, foreign and domestic, right? And the amount of foot traffic we had at our booth was amazing. We were flooded. So much interest when people learned we were USA, but then they learned about the benefits that we offer. And of course, this is a legislative forum, so I'm not going to get into all the details of that. But the Marianas has great potential to be a hub for manufacturing in the region, again. And this is real. So again, not only did we deal with investors at Select USA, but we also dealt with US trade offices, and they learned about us, and they admitted that they were familiar with the Marianas. But when they learned the full-blown details, they couldn't believe it. And just like the investors, even the US trade offices told us, we're going to verify everything you said with our legal teams because we cannot believe all of this is true. And we were so happy that they would verify it because we did so much work to vet this packet and this approach. All the research, federal laws, final rules determination, local laws. We did a lot. You see 8 pieces of paper in that packet, but the amount of work that went into it was tremendous. So the US trade offices, after learning about us, stated, they all came back, US trade office investors, and said, everything you said is true. We cannot believe it. They couldn't believe it. The US trade offices called the Marianas the best kept secret of the United States. And honestly, I truly believe we are. I truly believe it. And when you find out about the media coverage we've been getting lately, you're gonna see that as well. So Select USA was the catalyst. We took our new approach, our new packet, which the Marianas have been waiting for a long time. We took it to Select USA, and it seems to have huge impact. My understanding was that the Marianas has been going to Select USA for the past 8 or 9 years, and we never had a hit. We have multiple hits from this May trip. Multiple. They've been on island. We have investors who are very close to inking public land leases with us right now, going through the process, submitting applications, articles of incorporation, QC applications. It's great. A lot of momentum has built up in just 5 months. We've only been doing this for 5 months, and see the impact that this one piece of legislation had on the opportunities the Marianas has now. Our office is empowered to do all this because of this legislation. And right now, in 5 months, we're seeing a lot of significant impact. Of course, we're tailoring our expectations until we finally ink leases and see buildings going up, right? But we have a lot of interest right now, and people are going through the process. In addition to that, the U.S. trade offices mentioned that they would now market us more because they know about us now more in detail. And what happened after Select USA in May? All of a sudden, CETA now is being invited. We're not going out and looking for places to go. They are literally reaching out to us and calling us to go to all over Asia. They're calling us to Europe, to Turkey, to India, everywhere. They're calling us to come everywhere to go promote the Marianas. And by the way, so it looks like the US trade offices came through, right? But of course, it's because we educated them. Semicon Taiwan 2025, September of this year, just a month and a half ago or so. We were only one of 5 US economic development organizations invited by invitation to exhibit in the US pavilion at Semicon Taiwan in September. It was an event with over 100,000 participants, I think 5,000 to 8,000 exhibitors. All the countries were there, AI, high-tech manufacturing, green, everything you can imagine, semiconductors, which why we were there. So why was the Marianas invited? We were the only non-state there. Why? It's because the US trade offices also realize the potential we have for manufacturing, and it's real. TSMC is in Arizona. Can you imagine if they learned about us prior to moving to Arizona? Seriously, with all the advantages that we have. So we literally have investors from Taiwan coming to visit next month on island. We've been meeting with them. Now they want to be here to do more due diligence. It's great. Select USA roadshows. We're being invited, like I said, to Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, like 9, 10, 11, 12 different countries. We're being pulled everywhere. It's crazy. We are literally booked to promote the Marianas all the way throughout September of next year. And by the way, all of this is invitation. We are not looking for places to go. I don't want to go to all these places. My God, it's a lot of traveling. But it's a big opportunity to promote the Marianas. Media coverage, my gosh. So at Semicon Taiwan, unknowing to us, a member of the media, Taiwan Broadcasting System, CTS, Channel 52, back in 2018, they had over 12 million TV households in Taiwan. Currently, the population is 23 million. This media person came and said, what is this Marianas USA? We educated him. He said, my gosh, I have to interview you. He did a cell phone interview and said, I'm taking this interview to my boss. We're going to do research to verify what you said. And if my bosses feel this is a story, we're going to feature you guys because I feel this is an amazing story. And I told him, I believe we are an amazing story for the region with all this that they don't know about. So seriously, 2 days later, he came back with the camera crew, the lighting, the entourage. They did the feature on us. Our story aired that same evening in Taiwan to millions and millions of people in the market on those households, even on YouTube. They have millions of subscribers. I mean, we got a lot of exposure, free exposure from that. It was amazing. And just because they learned about who we are. Same thing with the American Chamber of Commerce of Taiwan. They came to our booth, learned about us. They said, we're going to do research, and if what you said is true, we cannot believe it. We need to feature you guys as a story. I literally completed that interview about a week and a half ago. So the Marianas will be featured in their publication next month or December. There's also a member of the independent media who writes for the Financial Times, Australian Times, New York Times, and many more, who also wants to do an independent story on us as well for economic development because he also couldn't believe what he learned. And at the same time, also Newsweek. Newsweek is going to be here, of all people, to interview us. So we've been not only, we're trying to create this awareness, right? And it's amazing that we're getting this type of media coverage. And then, of course, Select USA 2026, we're already signed up for it. We're already signed up. And by the way, we were told at this last Select USA that it was the best the Marianas ever brought. And by the way, for the next one, we have even more plans to make it even better. And we were already told that because of what we did in May, that at this next Select USA, the Marianas may have a feature. We may be going up on stage and promoting the Marianas to everyone on stage as opposed to like at our booth. Even though our booth was spilling nonstop, but having this opportunity would be great. So again, look at what this one piece of legislation did in just 5 months. The legislature empowered this office to do this on behalf of the Marianas, right? So this was amazing. I cannot stress the significance of how legislation such as this, when it addresses the need for change, right, and taking action, is very vital. So what has our impact been? I kind of got into that a little bit, right? But what has our impact been? So, right, there has been significant interest in the Marianas from business developers. I've been telling you that, investors, since the conclusion of Select USA in May of 2025. Interest was generated from US companies and foreign companies. So we have businesses in the Asian markets who want to do business here, but also businesses in the US who have manufacturing plants who want to relocate those manufacturing plants here. So we literally have investors, a handful of investors who were planning to expand their US operations. One of them was going to build a manufacturing plant in Europe. They literally learned about us, and now they want to relocate those things here. So we're continuing to work with them, support them, and yeah. CETA in the first quarter of Canada 25, of course, like I said, created the new investment packet, right? Significant impact, creating awareness, generating leads. We tested the packet, Select USA. We were told it was the best ever, right? We generated significant foot traffic, and of course, with investors planning to visit the Marianas, and we actually had them visiting. We've actually had some investors who've been here for quite some time, and they're getting very, very close. Respecting confidentiality, right? You'll be surprised. They've been here. We're looking to create jobs, and it's getting exciting. Okay, and there are multiple investors looking to the Marianas. There's actually some who have already organized businesses here already, business license, LLCs, things like that, and others who are going through the process of organizing and availing of our incentive programs. Investors have even approached us outside of Select USA events, and they have told us it was triggered by them finding our investment packet. So that packet seems to be working as well. And again, like I mentioned, Semicon Taiwan, one of only 5 US EDOs. The other states who were there was Florida, Texas, Arizona, and New Jersey. Big semiconductor manufacturing. And of course, over 100,000 people attended. Semicon Taiwan, I already got into that. We are now awaiting, because of our trip to Taiwan, we're now awaiting Taiwanese investors to come to Saipan next month, actually, to do more due diligence. We've been having meetings, but now they want to be on the ground. I talked about our media coverage, which is great. I talked about the Select USA events that we're being invited to. We've been invited, like I said, all throughout Asia, US, Europe, Turkey, India. So as you can see, a lot of momentum has been generated just through this one piece of legislation. And it's allowing us to really generate all this momentum and nurture it and grow it. So again, I cannot stress the impact legislation and the role you all have, that you can really change the landscape of a community, right? So again, I cannot stress the impact legislation can have on economic development. But again, keep in mind, impact can go either way, right? So always I stress the need for careful consideration and analysis at all times. Moving forward, this is my last slide. Of course, we'll continue to push forward, guided by our mandate now, and knowing that the legislature of the Marianas is keeping a keen eye on economic conditions, and they stand ready to address needed change to legislation where necessary. That gives my office a lot of confidence. We will push to diversify the economy by attracting new and diversified industries, desired industries, attracting high-tech and clean manufacturing, creating high-quality jobs, and very important, lowering the cost of energy, but also increasing our energy capacity. This is huge for investors, especially for manufacturing. So our legislators locally, this is really huge for our investors. But not just energy, but even water capacity as well. That's major for manufacturers, especially for our friends in Taiwan. We're also attracting renewable energy producers, and that's going to help us lower the cost of energy as well.